Okay, so today I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of the forthcoming update to our popular Powerstrip software. Now, the original Powerstrip software allowed you to connect a fidget interface kit 004 to your computer and basically control up to 4 outlets with your web browser. And since the software is connected up over the Newbound network, you can control those outlets with your web browser from anywhere in the world over a direct, secure, encrypted, peer-to-peer connection. Now, the original software also supported this concept of timer rules, so you could automate your outlets over a predefined schedule. Now, with this update, we wanted to do 2 things. We wanted to support additional types of devices, and we wanted to support additional types of automation. Now, for example, here I have a Fidget Spatial 333. Now, what this does is it basically has 3 sensors on it. It's got an accelerometer, a compass, and a gyroscope. So if I move it left and right, forward and back, you can see the acceleration is moving there. And if I twist it on the y-axis or the x-axis or the z-axis, you can see the gyroscope going there. And it also has a 3-axis compass. So in addition to telling its orientation with regards to the North Pole, it can also tell you the orientation with regard to the Earth. So what, how it's tilted or that sort of thing. So that's the Spatial 333. Let's add another one here, the Interface Kit 888. Fidgets, we're not affiliated in any way with the company. We do endorse their products. They make a great set of sensors and controllers that plug via USB directly into your computer. They also support a web services API. So the scope of these devices out of the box is your local network. What we do with the Newbound network, since we take their API and we expose it through our own API, that means you can create these devices, you can attach them over the Newbound network. And so now that we've broadened the scope of these smart devices to a global scope. So devices that are in disparate networks can interact with each other over the Internet of Things. And cybersecurity doesn't need to take a back seat on the Internet of Things if you're using the Newbound network. So let's go ahead and take a look at this 888 here. And the 888 is similar to the 004, except instead of 4 digital outputs, it's got 8 digital outputs. It's got 8 digital inputs. So for example, if I take my little paper clip here and I span the gap between the poles on one of the sensors, you can see the input lights up here on our little control panel interface. In addition to digital inputs, it's got analog inputs called sensors. So for example, here I've got a temperature sensor, I've got a humidity sensor, I've got a light sensor, I've got a pH sensor, right? And so here, if I take my trusty little flashlight and shine it on the light sensor there, you can see it's going crazy and indicating how many lumens the sensor is detecting. Now, let's get rid of this guy here. Let's add a servo controller. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this guy here too. So now you can see I've added a timer rule here for our fidget interface kit. I've also added a timer rule here for our servo controller. So for the interface kit, I'm repeating every 10 seconds. I turn it on, and then 5 seconds later I turn it off. So every 10 seconds it blinks. And so now we've got essentially, if we attached an LED to this output, we would have a blinking LED. I've also set the motor controller to turn all the way to the right every 24 seconds and all the way to the left every 24 seconds. So basically every 12 seconds it turns all the way in the opposite direction. So now we've got a robot with a blinking LED, and if we attached the servo motor to a small flagpole, it would raise and lower a flag twice a minute. So that's the timer rule. We wanted to extend that with additional functionality. So let me go ahead here and add a DC motor controller. This controls a DC motor instead of a servo motor. It's a DC motor, and again, you can tell it the velocity, whether you want it to turn to the left or turn to the right, positive or negative. I wanted to show you this one in order to demonstrate the new capability of events. Each of these devices that we support has a number of different events that they generate. So for example, if the light sensor senses a change in light, then it kicks off a sensor change event here. So I've added a little bit of Java code that when the light sensor changes, I set the velocity of a DC motor in direct proportion to the intensity of the light. So for example here, if I shine my flashlight on it, you can see the motor controller, the motor is going nuts there. So now we basically have a robot with a blinking LED that raises and lowers a flag twice a minute and runs away from the light. It's a light avoiding robot. Now, so that's how events work. Let's show you extensions. In any case, here I've created an external command. In addition to the commands that each of these devices support, right? You know, turn on a motor to X velocity, set an output on or off. All of those commands are built in through the Fidgets API, and we expose them through our own API. What extensions allow you to do is to write your own commands in addition to those that are built in. So for example, here I've created this on for 30 command that basically you tell it which output you want it to turn on, and it turns it on for 30 seconds and then turns it off. So in conjunction with events, I've set it up so that when the motor controller's velocity changes, I tell it to turn output number 5, they start at 0, so it's the 6th one in, on for 30 seconds. So now if we were to connect output number 5 here to a piezoelectric buzzer, for example, now when I shine my light on it, we have a light avoiding robot that with a blinky LED that raises and lowers its flag twice a minute and runs screaming from the light. So there you have it, folks. Those are the new capabilities that we've rolled into our Powerstrip software. As absurd as our little example was here, I'm sure you can find far more practical things to be doing with all of these capabilities. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.